So I bought this van, and I pretty much bought it on impulse, or, by accident, whatever. Anyways, this thing is a dumpster. Really, when I first saw it, I thought it was a dumpster, but turns out this thing is a 1966 Econoline, and these things used to be all over the place, and apparently used for everything, but it seems like there aren't many left now, so I want to try and restore this one. It's in rough shape. I started with removing all the rubber seals. Everything had dried up or rotted away. I took out the windshield, the sunroof, all the windows, and pretty much made it my goal to strip this whole thing down to the bare metal for priming and painting. So of course all the fasteners are rusted together. Just removing all the small bits around the van. Here's the dashboard. Going to the headlights. Just kind of working my way around the vehicle. Here's all the wiring for the heater and the AC. And man, it just feels like everything's trying to cut you or get you covered in some strange liquid. I finally made it past all the small stuff and removed the exhaust and unbolted the engine, the transmission, the radiator. And it turns out a lot of this stuff is pretty rare, so I made sure to give it away to other Econoline owners or sell it or make sure it had a home to go to. And removing all the door hardware, having a vehicle with 6 doors, there's a lot of bits and pieces to work with. So just de-rusting everything, sanding it, cleaning it, and priming and painting it. This wasn't so bad. I just kind of cleaned it, packed it up for later. Going back to the main van, this part was, that's a lot of stuff. There's probably a family of muskrats living in there for a while. It's a lot of dirt and rust and leaves to clean out. And here I am stripping paint in the slowest way possible. Do not strip it like this. Do sandblasting or chemical dipping or something. But as I stripped paint, I found little rust holes all over. That's a whole other video. Watch a Chris Fix video on the toilet like I did, or I don't know. Just kind of cut all the rust out, make a big panel, and weld that panel in. Do not leave any rust behind. There's no amount of spray foam or JB Weld that can hide it. Took a break from that, went down below to look at the brakes. Yeah, they're in pretty rough shape. Ugh. I decided to do a disc brake swap on the front end. These are drum brakes all around on this vehicle, and they're in pretty rough shape. I ended up just taking off the front ones and giving them away. Looking at the rear drum brakes, they were in a better-ish shape. So I ended up doing a new brake cylinder and new brake line and just cleaning up the drum. Here's part of the steering assembly, and it looks like a banana. It's not supposed to look that way. So I cleaned it up and bent it back to shape. Gave it a coat of paint and called it good. While I was down there too, I noticed the shocks were in pretty rough shape. So I took them out and I ended up just spending about 400 bucks on a new set of shocks. And they look pretty good. Easy fix. I also made some new shackles. I made them a bit taller, a bit thicker. I have a feeling the lithium might be a bit heavier in this vehicle. Alright, stuff is going pretty good. We're making lots of progress, but this is a big project, bigger than I'd realized. I'm also building this thing off the tailgate of my truck. I don't have a shop or any kind of covered space to use. Yeah, the next big step is painting this thing. And I don't know how to paint, and I also don't know what color it's gonna be. Yeah, things are going good. So I ended up modeling the entire vehicle in a software called Blender. This program is a pain in the ass, but it's great for choosing paint colors and messing with different sizes of tires and racks and lights. And you can see I want to do some lights on the top. I've got a ladder I want to do on the back. I want to do new bumpers. So it's definitely a step up from pen and paper for kind of planning out what you want to do. And yeah, it's a pain, but it's definitely worth the time. So all that was left to do was watch some crackheads on YouTube paint. At this point, the van is looking worse than when I started. There was a bit more bodywork to do, a bit more sanding, and eventually I got to making the paint booth. So I had a friend that lent me his shop for 2 weeks to build this paint booth. And that's a pretty tight timeline. So I'm building some filters, some fans. It's just like a big greenhouse, almost. Here you can see the fans poking out of the greenhouse. And there's the filter on the other end. And, I mean, it's a gas chamber if you're not safe with it. Here's the primer, just doing 3 coats. And it turns out I need to sand between every single coat of primer and paint. So, big block, sanding it, then I need to vacuum and clean the whole booth. Any dust floating in the air is gonna stick on your paint. So doing white next, that's for the inside and the top of the outside. Onto the blue for the bottom, 3 coats of each. Never painted like this before with a spray gun. If you're gonna paint in a shed like I did, definitely have more lighting. I just had a headlamp and it wasn't really bright enough. But aside from that, I'm pretty happy with the result. I think it turned out pretty good. It's probably not gonna be a show car, but I'm not going to use it like a show car either, so that's okay. Removing all the masking paper. Yeah, so now I have a shiny dumpster. Great. Doing the wheels real quick, just paint and primer. And I ended up going with aluminum wheels later on, but these did the job for the time being. I couldn't really get hung up on little things like the wrong type of wheels, so I just had to, do the paint booth quick, do the wheels quick, just keep moving forward. I feel like you can get stuck on little tiny details forever, and I didn't have the timeline for that, so I just had to keep going. You break some glass, you buy new glass. I really didn't want to hire anybody, but I had to hire some people to help for a few hours, and it made a huge difference installing the glass. Here's the front disc brake kit. It cost about $1,000 for the whole kit, but really adapting disc brakes onto a drum brake vehicle is a huge pain in the ass, and it's like a whole other project in itself, so I'm really happy to have a new shiny kit that just bolts on. And yeah, it really felt like the halfway point in the project, having new shiny stuff to install. So there's the caliper, there's the disc on the front. As the day cooled off, I did some painting. Just coated the floor with some black bed liner. And yeah, still a shiny dumpster. Looks okay. It's not rusting yet, so that's good. Prepping the inside for the electronics. I was pretty excited to get the motor in there. It's a motor I bought at auction. You can just buy them. They're pretty common for commercial vehicles, pretty common for hobbyists. It's an AC75, and you can find them used for pretty cheap. And I chose this one because it's on a 5-speed manual transmission. And I'm not really planning on doing any kind of Tokyo drifting with this project. So my only power requirements are being able to merge on the highway, easily, and being able to maintain highway speeds without overheating or having any problems. So this motor is perfect for the job. So here's the motor right here, this big blue garbage can shaped thing above my head, and it attaches to this red transmission adapter plate, which attaches to the transmission and goes to the back wheels. Also, don't mind, that's the cooling system, just like zip tied to the frame, but yeah, it's going good. I decided to do LED lights around the entire vehicle, should save on some power. Also, I did seals on all the doors, all the windows, on everything. It would really suck to have a camper that just leaks on you all the time. Next up was the electronics. This part sucked. It was really messy, like really messy. Got a bit tidier, got messy again, it was terrible. Here's the batteries, which also came with the same drive system. They are about 12 years old and should be in the ocean or in a landfill or not in a vehicle. But I'm using them anyways, just balancing the cells right now, and they worked okay. As the wiring improved, I tested the motor. It's not even close to done yet, but I still want to see if the motor can start and stop. So with the vehicle in neutral, I'll shut up for a second and rev it so you can hear what it sounds like. And instead of cleaning up all the wiring, I just went for a drive. Just to see if I'd like explode or something, but no, it ran pretty good. I was happy shifting gears and stopping, starting, reversing, I don't know. I drove down to the vehicle scale. I wanted to see how heavy I was, and right now I'm a bit lighter than original, but I've got a feeling once I add all the camper stuff in the back, I'll probably be a bit heavier. So I took the van on a longer drive up to a friend's place, just to see if it would make it, and this was a pretty big win, using it like a car, finally. And yeah, hung out. Felt pretty good.
I remember how life was good in 2016.
But that's enough feeling good, because now we're back with our good friend Blender, doing all the rack, the bumpers, all the aluminum parts for the next day. So there's the rack, there's some bumpers, there's a spare tire mount, propane tank mount, you know, radio lights, all kinds of little pieces. And I'm cutting this all on a plasma cutter. It's pretty cheap if you can do the vectors yourself. If you show up with the parts ready to cut, it's just the machine cutting time cost and the material cost. So there's the propane tank done, there's the ladder done, and there's the rack waiting for solar panels. So I got to installing all those panels, and the plan is to power, you know, like the lava lamp and the fridge and the stove with these panels. But I also want to power the big lithium cells, you know, kind of trickle charge the batteries with those. There's some wiring for the backup camera, for the rack lights. In the meantime, my friend is welding up the back bumper. This dude is a great TIG welder. You can see him here heating up the metal before bending it to shape. And, you know, he's deciphering my crappy drawings. And we're doing a test fit of the bumper, just to make sure nothing's warped, nothing's banana shaped, it all fits good. Then he pops it off and welds it all together. We bolted everything back on, took a step back, took some pictures, decided what had to be reinforced or taken off, and really at this point I'm just procrastinating for what is the final showdown in this. It feels like the last big step in this project is charging at a public station. So I'd spent a lot of money on the onboard charger on this van. I wanted to make sure it would be safe and it would connect with any public terminals. And here it is, connected to a public charging station. We are charging. That was a big win. With a full tank, I took a longer drive on the highway, got up to speed, went through all the gears, made sure nothing fell off.
So the main question I've had since I bought this drive system is what the hell is the range on that? It's a lithium iron phosphate pack. It's about 12 years old. It's not in good shape, and it turns out I have about 40 kilometers of range on this thing. And that's not good. That is not good at all. My plan is to have maybe 200, 300, 400 kilometers range in the end, but it'll do for now. Good enough to buy groceries, good enough to get, you know, lumber, materials and stuff. And yeah, it's not on fire, so that's good. My next big step is soundproofing though. Jesus Christ, this thing is loud.
Thank you to everybody who gave advice and gave shop space to make this project happen. And stay tuned for part 2, doing a bunch of interior stuff, going to break some stuff, and like really break some stuff. And it'll be fun. So yeah, see ya.